in the burning sun.
Well, this is more than history, more than mystery. Over the years, them all a try to trick we. No one cares about the poor black picnic. Down in the bottom of the boat, them sick we. Over we back police, whip them whip we. Don't even mention the big boat kick we. That's why we know we have to get the victory. See them all a cut it on my cut trick we. Oh, too slippery.
In the burning sun, 16 men and a dead man's chest. Yo, 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 yo.
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. What I propose to do tonight is to, of course, stay in the background while, of course, we continue with the corridor transformation program. Enjoy it as we seek feverishly to, of course, address those bugs and those what I consider to be saboteurs that, of course, are attempting every night to distort and to prevent us from airing the good news of salvation and the good news of reconciling and the good news of acting in our best interest in order to solve Trinidad and Tobago's problem. Enjoy it, of course, as you see fit. So once again, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. This is the corridor transformation. Your host, LENNOX Smith, and of course, as I said, I will remain in the background tonight, just as part of our efforts to make certain that we get rid of the glitches that seem to plague the program in recent times. And of course, we have identified through a process of elimination a number of things. For example, we were able, of course, to rectify the supply of our supplier in terms of internet supplier. We have addressed that. We have addressed, of course, the question of the video, and now what we have is an audio issue, which, of course, tonight is part and parcel of that process. So you would forgive me. Of course, we will play the usual videos and so on, and we will comment on them as well. But I will remain in the background for the time being, if only to according to the technicians, to find out whether or not it is a video, but there is an audio attached to the video camera, the camera that we use, and whether or not that is generating the distortion that we are hearing on a consistent, annoying basis. Yes, it is absolutely ad nauseum. It is sickening. And of course, last night I vowed profusely, and as you may well be aware by now, I'm a man of my word. I say what I will do, and I do what I will say. It may not materialize at the time that we had predicted, and of course, and sometimes people's expectations are waned. But at the end of the day, once we achieve the objective, which at the end of it all, have people, of course, saying, well, the principle of patience is virtue, I think is one that is required at this point in time. I have had too many experiences where people being impatient and having, of course, made them promises and so on, but of course they have not a clue as to what is operating in the background, what are some of the building blocks towards, of course, making certain that the delivery comes, even though it may be not on time. So it is in that context I am asking, of course, all of you who are committed. Don't forget, of course, you can do it one time. You can make your calls now at 337-6940, 337-6940. The number is crawling across your screen. Yes, indeed. And as a consequence of that, I want to make certain that we do everything possible in order to generate the kind of program that you have grown accustomed to, the hundreds of programs, Christmas Day, any holiday, New Year's Day, you name it, we have been here. And of course, Monday to Monday. Yes, I am hearing myself at this point in time, so it may be another factor. So we have been able to eliminate, at least so far, this factor that it may well be the video aspect of it. That is to say, the camera that we are using, attached to which is or attached to it is a microphone that may be giving the problem that we have been plagued with and appear to be intractable. Of course, we will not eliminate sabotage. That is something that we must look at as well. But for the time being, the device that I'm using in the background, I am hearing myself very clearly, very pellucidly. I know that you may be having a difficulty because you're not seeing my face current or live. But rest assured, I am here and I am talking. Let me say once again, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web. Yes, indeed. Welcome to the Wednesday night edition of the Corridor Transformation. Don't forget, on the Ground Reporter tomorrow morning, yes, we will be having a Ground Reporter tomorrow. Yes, at the usual time, 6 to 9 o'clock in the morning, where we will touch on everything that is, of course, what is considered to be African, what is considered to be liberation, what is considered to be slavery, what is considered to be the transatlantic triangular, as some people will call it, a trip by Europeans who created, of course, this machinery or this economic system called slavery. And therefore we need to not only understand it and understand where we came from, but also to understand why we are in the state that we are in today. And of course, one can say off the cuff that is because of the betrayal of people like ourselves, our own texture of hair and color of skin people who believe that somehow we must be always condescending and always subservient to their will, because they have the opportunity to, of course, manage our affairs, and from that perspective alone they believe that we must be loyal. Well, I want to tell this government, and I want to direct your minds to the reality that in South Africa, while the majority of the people were subjected to a system called apartheid, remember that, where, of course, Africa, millions of people versus, of course, to make a graphic comparison, thousands of white men were ruling through a process called apartheid, where blacks cannot go where whites can, and whites have access to all of the resources of the country. Well, Mandela and others, solely, they discontinued, they dismantled that process. But the party that emerged, from which Nelson Mandela became, of course, the first black president in South Africa, and of course the party that he led continued to win the elections, even in the last one as well. But what has happened is that they have been tremendously reduced. Let's go straight to the lines. Yes, indeed. Let me take this call. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Sorry about not having any video of myself, but we are testing to see whether or not that is the problem. If the camera is the problem, and some kind of hidden microphone may be creating some static for us. But a pleasant good night. I am here, and make your contribution.
Good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you.
This is Biggs.
Yes, indeed, my friend. Of course, boy. It has been a while. It has been a while.
Yeah. Glad to hear you, man. Glad to hear you loud and clear. No, I ain't seen you. But,
yeah. We are testing. Yeah, we are testing.
Every night we get it, just breaking, man.
Yes, boy. It's frustrating. Yes, extremely, frustrating to the extreme. So I thought it was important, of course, to let's go through the process of elimination and then arrive at a position to rectify this almost intractable situation so far. But it's nice to hear your voice.
Yeah, we're not giving up, man. We're not giving up.
That's right. That is the idea, yes. When the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And of course, necessity is the mother of invention. And we must be creative and we must be inventive. So thank you very much for calling and for staying up at this point in time, because some people were simply saying that Smith are looking to give up on you. I said, no, don't. I am not the kind of guy who relent easily.
Give up easy.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you very much for your call. Yes, indeed, of course. So we have gotten actually the first call. So people, yes, I am in the background. I am speaking from studio, and we continue, of course, to take your calls. We'll try to get it on the system, and if not, we will take it on my device that I have close to me as well. So whether we get it on the system itself, your voice, or we get it on the telephone that I have accompanying me, monitor it. I am going to put it in the speaker, and we are going to, not the speaker, but in the microphone, and we are going to, of course, entertain your call. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Okay, Mama. This is Miss Nadra.
Could you speak a little louder?
Okay.
Because okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go closer to my internet connection because we don't have Starlink. Like Starlink from Elon Musk.
Oh, I see.
We have Flow from Columbus, Ohio, or B-Mobile from Ireland. Then we talk about...
I hear you. You want something more domestic, but we are not creative. We have a government that is myopic. Yes.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to say that, but this is the internet, so you could use profanity if you want to, because YouTube wouldn't stop that as long as you're on the air. Let me tell you something. I miss you so much. Oh my God.
I miss you too. I miss you too. I miss all of you. So I am determined. I'm desperate. And I said that we are going to meticulously look at this situation.
But
yes.
I have a strategy for you. You don't need to have your face on the screen.
All right,
you don't
okay.
Need to show, and I want to share this because it's different, because I read a lot about social media. I am on Hackers News, and I'm all on Y Combinator and Brutalist Report, and a lot of other foreign first country who develop technology. I look at their websites and I read a lot, and I'm sharing this with you. You could always rewind my voice and listen to the websites I mentioned.
Yes.
I also listen to Bloomberg, and I am a subscriber for Wall Street Journal, and I'm a very good commentator.
Oh, great,
a lot of America. Yes, of course.
So we need that voice. I've always been attracted to that voice. So sometime in the future I will be, because I am using some AI technology as well to help me with the news. And maybe yours is one of the voices that we can use from time to time. I've already done what you have asked. I have, of course, expanded that picture of myself. So you have not one but two of me there, and of course with the corridor symbol as well. So take a look at it now.
Much. If I leave you to talk, you will talk plenty, and I could talk more, and we will talk more, because you and I have the same.
Yes, go ahead.
For speech. All right. So now this is what I was thinking, right? You see, since you've been off the YouTube channel, you've been having a lot of problems. Mr. Rima made a comment, and she said that maybe you share your past your password with many people, and they're using your internet, and that's why you can't get a live feed from YouTube. I don't know if you do that, but you shouldn't. You should never share your password with your internet with any neighbors unless you live in an apartment.
Yeah, you're quite right.
Yes. I know somebody calling me again.
Yes, somebody's calling. In fact, Miss Arima, who I consider Miss Venezuela, is calling at this point in time. So.
Okay, tell Miss Arima to wait. She understands me. I know my sister very well. All right. Don't worry about it. She will call back because she will get on the issue. Don't worry. We know
Let me just tell her, Miss Arima or Miss Venezuela, just hold on. We have another person on the other platform, so just hold on. All right, I'll engage you in a while. Go ahead, Miss Madras.
Madras. Yes, I want to say this is the rise. This is the rise of the black woman. And when I say black woman, I mean it for the whole CARICOM and even the new members of CARICOM. And I say that because we have so many smart women in this country. And I'm not talking about Kamala Bissessa. I'm talking about other women of color who could rise up with the party. But Kamala Bissessa has done a great job for this country. Yes. We cannot discredit her. She really helped mold and shape an ideology of what it could be in the future, and Vasant Bharat brings that to the table. Right. Vasant Bharat brings the future. So let us not hate Vasant Bharat because I know he's a fork and spoon guy, but you can't help it because let me tell you something. I want to share this with everybody in Trinidad. And Lennox, please, if you want to delete this comment, you can.
Go ahead.
You know, there a few years ago, Minister Khan, Frankie Khan, was in Parliament. And Frankie Khan said in Parliament that he was talking about the oil and gas industry. Yes. And he said, you know, he mentioned something about contracts or money coming into the country. And somebody on the opposition side in the backbench, and you could go back and listen to this. I have to find the date.
Yeah, no problem.
I will. I have it.
Yes.
And they said, the person said, oh, you're talking about your buddy. And they said, oh, the Prime Minister's buddy. And the Prime Minister, everybody... Mr. Khan, the late Khan said, it is the Brash family. And I said to myself, what? And I played that over 100 times. Right. But it's kind of, and the Brash family owns the leasing operations of Trinity Oil. They've been here since colonialism. Since colonialism. I'm talking about the white elite, white privilege.
I hear you.
That we never see. Thank you, my friend Lennox. Let me speak truths now. Let me speak truths now because we cannot live like this anymore.
That's right.
We have to stop it.
Yes.
We have to stop this insanity. Yes. And so I say this because that company has been sued many times by their poor Trinidad African workers because of no equipment, low wages, unsafe conditions.
Yes.
And the workers always want. They don't want the unions. Let me tell you something. Your husband driving a truck and he's working 7 days a week, hustling to make $150. They should be unionized.
Yes, I agree with you.
We don't need decent.
Yeah, in a modernized world, that is what is operational and common.
Something.
Yes.
I'm telling my citizens out there who are listening, listen, when you build a union, you're making families richer in the sense that they could send their children to good schools, they could move into a good neighborhoods, but that has an effect. That's not a trickle-down effect. Yes. It's like a root effect, spiraling like I have to say a spiral. A root is like the papaya plant. The plant papoy, the roots just go so light on the ground. Right. And that's what we need to do. We don't need no trickle-down effect. And Lennox, I'm going to make it quick again. I want to say something. You see, the UNC has tremendous potential to win the next election.
Yes.
But we need people, smart people, and consistent, resilient men like you who are strong, wouldn't waver, who are gifted. You are gifted. I know in the intellectual sense because I listen to you all the time.
I hear you. You will have quite a lot of fans and a person who are in absolute agreement.
Who cares about fans? Yes. I'm not here to be popular or any nonsense like that.
No, when I'm saying so, I mean in agreement. I'm talking about fans in the context of agreement.
Yes. Well, I respect that. But what I want to say, Lennox, this government, the PNN, and even parts of the UNC has been infested with not the goal of our country, which is a democracy first. Well, no, first is we are independent, and that was gifted to us by the rich white people and the elite who gave us a constitution.
Yes.
And guess what? It was written by them with a surety clause that says some certain colonial rights were protected, and that has been carried on to today.
Yes, Miss Venezuela, I'll be with you shortly. Miss
Okay,
Miss
let me go.
Madras
But let me tell you
is
something.
tying up now. Yes.
I hope people listening and pay attention. You have to learn how to read and write so we can understand what the elites are telling us.
Good.
All right. All right. Let me let you go because I was just so
Yes.
carried away. I'm so
Yes,
happy
yes,
on
yes,
the
yes,
air.
yes. I understand. All right, okay then. Thank you very much. Yes, sorry about that, Miss Arima. She prefers to call herself, but of course you have the mic to yourself now. Welcome. Of course, we had to do what we are doing. Sorry that I don't have a physical face, but I'm in the background. Rest assured, as we look to get rid of the saboteur or saboteurs, or those who prefer not to have us on from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock these days. Good night to you and welcome to the corridor.
Yes, Lennox, good night. I'm glad to have you back.
Thank you.
No, I don't know what to say. I kind of lose track with what I was going and saying.
No problem, but we had a very
wanted to
interesting discussion this morning, so I don't know if you could share it with the international community. That might be a good place to start if you are getting a challenge at this time.
Okay, Lennox. Well, I will talk about what's going on in the region.
Yes.
Now, today I heard a new call on the ground report saying that it's a shame that this country have nothing to say concerning the election results in Venezuela.
Yes.
And I second what that caller said.
Yes.
She's paying attention.
Right.
Trinidadians are very selfish people.
Mm-hmm.
All the time I've been talking and educating them about this gangman Rowley have there, right?
Yes.
And the danger it will have on this country with that dragon gas and so many other things that they involve with this government. For example, we now learn that Jindal from India is a proxy for Maduro.
Right.
He is not the first proxy. He had Wilma Rupati as a proxy who was to buy the refinery, and Kamala catch up with them the first time around. She catch up with them the second time around. So what we have to pay attention to, especially now with that result in the election where they cheat, right?
Yes.
We cannot have diplomatic ties with that country. We cannot have bilateral agreements. We is to dismiss ourselves from him. Several countries in the region, I'm speaking about the Latin American countries, have dropped this diplomatic ties with him. The first country to speak out concerning that fraud election result was Argentina. And right away, he lashed out at Argentina, letting the people know, right? So he lashed out at the Argentinians. And at the embassy, it had some officials from the opposition went there to seek refuge, right? To hide, seek asylum. And he turned off he ordered to disconnect the lights.
All right.
And tell the ambassador for the Argentinian embassy there and the officials that they have 48 hours in which to leave, and that time is up. And listen, Lennox, a day before the election or 2 days before the election, he closed the airport. Observers from the European Union was to come in to observe, and 4 other countries from Latin America, speaking about Panama. And I can't remember, I believe it's Argentina. And he barred them from entering. What kind of democracy is that? Everybody shifting themselves from this man, but this little young Chinese man going over there, to be a big puppet and have to do what they say. Rowley is a puppet, Edmund Dillon is a puppet, and we just losing and everything.
Yes.
I
And that they
want-
mentioned Edmund Dillon, because Dillon is supposed to be the ambassador, and we were arguing,
Yes.
well, why would you send an ambassador when to represent Trinidad and Tobago in Venezuela at such an awkward time? But at that point in time, we were saying that it may be he's going to, of course, make arrangements for when Rowley has to leave the country, he can get asylum in Venezuela. That's the only reason.
That now. Let me tell
but
you.
go ahead.
He
I
had
just
to
thought
go
I should mention that.
one time, because Delcy sent for him. That was the time when the baby get the head blown off.
Right.
All the
Okay.
time they were saying the house that he have to reside in, it need fixing, it ain't ready yet. But as soon as the baby hair get blown off and they sent for him, he had to go. But what I understand is it have diplomats that just kidnap and have them under house arrest. Right?
Right.
I want to say good night to Mr. Edmund Dillon.
Right.
I repeat, I want to say good night to our ambassador for Venezuela, Trinidadian, Edmund Dillon. Good night to you, sir. I'm not hearing about you. I don't know anything about you. Also, I understand that when officials from whatever country go to presidential palace, they have to take off the shoes, socks, jacket, and search and take away their devices.
Yeah,
cell
security,
phone,
yeah,
etc.
the most threatened man in the
Imagine
region.
that-
Yes.
Imagine that. I want to say good night to Mr. Stuart Young. Okay?
Right.
So this is the situation, and we have to stand up as a country next door to this country for the democracy of this country next door to us. We can't just talk about we have to help the Venezuelans, they're working hard. No, we have to say we are against that election result and we want democracy in Venezuela. That's the only way, because all the countries in the region speaking out, but only these hungry mouth CARICOM countries not saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the only one talk out and support it is Ralph Gonzalez, but he had to do that because he hungry. Right now,
Right.
they helping him with the situation they get in there with the storm, and they always feed off of Venezuela. So, people, we have to speak out for the Venezuelan people in Venezuela, so they could have a peaceful life, and all those who want to go back, they could go back and ease up on the problems that we have in here.
Right.
So this is what I want to see.
Thank you very much. Your contribution is well received. You have any closing remarks that you would like to make?
Well, that's it, Lennox.
All right,
I think I said everything I have to
All right,
say.
thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. Yes, indeed. Of course, a very ardent, a very committed, a true soldier, a true Trinbagonian, a true patriot. That in the person of Miss Arima, she's fondly called, but I like to call her Miss Venezuela because she is fluent in Spanish, and whenever I want something interpreted, I would normally, of course, ask her assistant. That being as it may, let's go. We have another caller on the not on the regular system, but on another line. Good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Hey, Lennox, it's me again, Miss Madras. Okay.
Yes.
I want to say something. Thank you, Miss Arima, for speaking truth, And let me ask you something, Miss Arima. I'm going to make a comment to you, a response to what you said about Stuart Young. Now, the Prime Minister said a few days ago, actually yesterday, I think, he said that Stuart Young and Minister of Parliament, Stuart Young, was representing the Trinidad and Tobago. And when he said representing, he meant that representing our ideology, our views of democracy to Venezuela. Do you believe that? Do you believe that nonsense? That man, let me tell you something about this prime minister. He comes across as a socialist, but he's a greedy, imperialist capitalist, bred and born from the Williams era. And I say this because there is an oligarchy. I was mentioning about Mr. Frankie Khan when he spoke in Parliament. And you know what he said? He said the Brash family brings in $50 million every month to this country. $50 million? Does AZ drilling bring that kind of money? No, because I'll tell you why. The oil system is catered and written because of exploitation, that when you transport oil and you're dropping it off on a site, crude oil I'm talking about,
Good.
you do the honor system. And the honor system means you tell us, the government, or you tell them, we wouldn't say us because they're representing us. Remember, we vote for them, right? We vote for them. Right. So they are telling these contractors, who are also supported by members of parliament, and many of them have sisters and cousins and relatives involved in high-level government jobs, from veterinarian to the president. And so let me move on. So what I'm saying to you guys is this. You see, what they're doing is, like a lot of these companies, like I'm going back to this Brash family, which Franklin Camp said in Parliament. He said they're bringing $50 million US every month.
Wow.
And this family...
I call it, just hold on. I have another person on another system.
But wait,
so
I
just
want
hold
to
on,
finish
please.
this.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead, Ms. Majas.
I
Just asking the new caller to hold on. Oh, all
Because
right.
this
He has
fascinated
gone.
me. This fascinated me because this family that owns Trinity also owns Cocoa Bell. Can you afford a coconut, a chocolate from Cocoa Bell? You cannot, because it's sent abroad.
Right.
And it's all in the high level. Listen, there's a real elitism going on in this country, and our people are struggling every day. The people who built this country and the elite upper class. They own plantations. They own estates, cocoa estates, coconut estates. And now the Syrians following right behind them because they're going to open a cigarette manufacturing plant in Trinidad. That's why Whitco shares are going down like crazy. Because this government doesn't give a crap. They are being funded by very, very rich people. I see this with conviction and I see this with authority because I've read enough. And if they say, we're going to sue you, I'll respond. And I'll back it up with facts. Listen to me, Lennox. It has to stop. And let me tell you something. We can beat the PNM. We just need a party that, you know, everybody like and they feel safe with, which is Kamala. So we're going to get Kamala into office, right, guys? And we're going to make this woman chill out and relax, and you know, but we are going to be working with the members of parliament and with our local representatives to stop sleeping and wake up. A big rainstorm today and half of Karen was flooded.
Yes, I understand that.
And Port of Spain is like a what? Well, Port of Spain was built on water.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a lake. It's a lake.
All right, so Lennox, you know, you just let me give me a lot of airtime. I love you.
Yes.
And so that's what I wanted to say about that family. And you listen to me. The white elite in this country don't live in our community. They don't understand our poverty and struggle because they used to oversee our ancestors in the plantation.
Yes, indeed.
And now they love carnival. They love
this
the fun
conversation,
carnival. They love...
yeah, is so appropriate
sorry.
on the eve of African emancipation. Yes. So
Thank you very
let's
much.
liberate our minds. Let's liberate our
Let's liberate
brain
our
cells.
minds.
Let's liberate our circumstance. So go ahead. I thought I should make that
Okay,
intervention.
I'm going to
Yes.
let you go. And
Yes,
Lennox,
all right.
I'm not going to call again, and I love you. I'm
love you
so
too.
happy to hear your voice on the radio, on
Yes,
the
indeed.
on the internet. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Thank you very much once again. Yes, indeed. So people, of course, quite a number of issues would have been raised. Of course, among them, we are still monitoring. We are monitoring what is happening because we are in the process. Ultimately, we have no choice of elimination to find out where the bugs are or where the bug is, and to avoid, of course, what transpired last night. Hopefully, of course, last night would have been the last night that we find ourselves in that situation. But that being as it may, let's take this call one time. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Number of issues would have been raised. Of course, among them.
Welcome to the corridor.
What is happening? Because we are in the process. Ultimately, we have no
Hello?
choice of eliminating.
Welcome to the corridor.
And to avoid, of course, what transpired last night.
Welcome to the corridor.
The last night that we find out.
Welcome to the corridor. Going once. I know I'm seeing that your line is still engaged. So, other than what I'm seeing in front of me, so I'll give you an opportunity to engage or to answer. Pleasant good night.
Good night.
Yes, indeed. Finally, a pleasant good night.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Good night.
Oh, good, good.
LENNOX,
Yes.
Here we're going on now.
Yeah.
Yes. Here we're going on now.
Uh-huh.
I want to find out, right? Okay, so here it is. I want to find
You have
out.
to load on your device here because I get a feedback and it may be distorting your presentation.
Okay, I'll call back.
All right, no problem. Right. Well, I know that you are testing, and I'm sure that you are pleasantly surprised, or you have a sense of optimism that things are going to move, reasonably smoothly moving forward. But call back and certainly we will take your calls. Don't forget, people, of course, it is the corridor transformation. Yes, of course, we just have 1 hour. And 1 hour, as you know, is quickly spent. I may extend it later down the road, but of course at this point in time we want to ensure that the glitches and the whatever intent of sabotage or saboteurs to of course stymied and to eliminate us from the presentations and the issues of the day, they do not succeed. In the meantime, of course, I have a duty and responsibility, of course, to share with you certain developments. But before I go there, I want to, of course, endorse what Miss Arima has said. I call her Venezuela on this program, where Trinidad and Tobago must make its path very, very, very clear. And I expect that the rest of the world and the region in particular and the United States will be looking to see and observing what the position is of Trinidad and Tobago, because Dr. Rowley has backed himself into a quagmire, into a sticky position, into an untenable situation. Of course, we will discuss that after this call. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yes, good night. Good night once more again, Mr. LENNOX.
Yes,
Mr.
good night
LENNOX,
to you.
listen,
Yes.
just imagine, the opposition in Venezuela, right?
Yes.
They got 70% of the votes, right?
Yes.
And what I'm looking at here, we don't know what kind of implication that may have for Trinidad and Tobago, right? Because you know the kind of monster that Maduro is.
Yes.
Right? But here is the main thing was that call to find out. We have to get a forensic investigation into Rowley and them and the kind of money in the bank account that they have, if and when they have it in different parts of the world, you know.
Oh yes.
I want to know.
Oh yes, that is clear.
You know,
that is like breathing. It is automatic. You know? Automatic, yeah.
Yeah, boy.
Yes.
Just imagine, I think it's sometime they bought some kind of 9 billion something. I can't remember exactly. It's 14 billion or something. So I can't remember the exact amount. But I'll go back and check it. But boy, this government extremely evil. You know?
Yes.
It's the most evil thing in ever come across. You know?
Yes, boy.
You understand? Boy,
You are so right.
man, I sorry for this country, you know. We had to get out there, boy. We had to stand up and send a strong message to this government.
Mm-hmm.
This have to be done.
Yes,
This
my
have
friend.
to be done, boy.
Yeah, that
I
goes
can see
without
my
saying.
children and my grandchildren. Yeah, I have a little one in the house, and I every day is watching. I feel sorry because I done see with them fellas and do already.
Mm-hmm.
You rubbing the unborn children who unborn it, all you rub them. and only arrogant with it.
Yes, boy.
So I look fire born this wicked piano, man.
Yes,
And
yes.
is that I go
Yes,
on.
is that, my friend? Yes, indeed. That seems to be a common cliche now on the Grog Report, and is now extended to the corridor transformation. And is that I think is Miss Shogonas or some one of them, a female, of course, who Miss who has been promoting that cliche. That is that. Don't forget, people, of course, please share. Don't forget, share. Now that your favorite nightly program is on the air, I remain optimistic, as I encourage you to also remain optimistic. But the fact of the matter is that we have to persevere, and perseverance we must. Of course, let's go back to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
LENNOX Smith. Pleasant good night to you and everybody on the line.
Pleasant good night to you as well, my friend.
I see like you're halfway running. Again, audio good, but no video. So
Yes. I put up a scrolling note there to say that I'm in the background. I did indicate earlier on, and we are doing our elimination process. Let me just explain elimination process, because we may have a camera with a built-in mic that may be causing the distortion during the course of the normal. So we are doing without the video for tonight to see whether or not that may be part of the problem or is the problem, and then they will resume, of course, my live presence as we have accustomed to. But go ahead, make your contribution.
LENNOX,
Yes.
I noticed something on the news the other night.
Yeah.
With Venezuela election, right? In Trinidad, here, where Venezuelans living here, them can still vote by going to their embassy somewhere in Port of Spain. But when we have elections here in Trinidad and Tobago, and Trinidadians who live abroad cannot vote unless they come back home. I can understand that, you know.
Yes.
Make that make sense to me now. How it is these Venezuelans could still vote while being in Trinidad, and when we in other parts of the world we can't vote when we election call unless we come back home.
Yes. Yeah, that to me is something we have to look at. Frankly, I have no answer because it cannot be economic. We have embassies where our diaspora is all over the world, and that ought to be an easy process. The only logistical problem I'm seeing there is to get the information back to Trinidad in its original form, the ballot boxes, that is, and the time it will take. But then we have an airline that could make the longest journey seem like just minutes. Again, that's a good argument to pursue, and for something we should be ventilating as far as making certain that every Trinbagonian, whether they are abroad in the region or and farther afield, can get an opportunity to cast their ballot, to say what is happening, to give a say as to what is happening in their country.
Right. Let me change it up a bit before I go.
Yes, go ahead.
I seen something in the news here tonight. They're looking for some Obiaman in Tobago.
Well, I am not surprised. Are you surprised? Is Rowley the Prime Minister, the current Prime Minister, who introduced that into the politics of the country? You know, not that it wasn't there before, because I remember very distinctly when Manning talked about, of course, the dragon on the Red House, which of course is part and parcel of that. What I consider to be obia and supernatural kind of disposition. So I am not surprised, in other words.
So LENNOX, let me ask this before I go.
Go ahead.
Whoever it is that appointed Trinidad and Tobago policeman to look for this Obiaman in Tobago, that is what the news saying?
Well, I'm not surprised. I am not privy to the news, But I can tell you, I am not surprised. You see, I'm sure you recall when I was saying, these things I don't believe in, even though I'm a shouter Baptist practicing one at that. But and I know of these banquets and where people were doing certain things that one would consider to be superhuman acts. I don't even want to disclose some of the things that I know of. But Dr. Rowley and this Likoto Jambi issue has put things in such a perspective, because we also know that to whom much is given, much is expected. And we also know that when you pull the tail of the evil, that you have to pay the price, just as the piper.
Lennox, the reason why I asked that question, every day I just been seeing on the Hunters Association page 5 and 6 and 7 people missing per day.
Yeah.
How come the police not looking for these people and them?
And I see that some ministry gave them an award, some kind of recognition today, as far as their success in the recovery of missing persons over Trinidad and Tobago and over the time that they have been in existence. But that does not take away from your point that what is the role of the police? The police are being paid to address these matters, and they ought to have more success because of the juggernaut resources of the state provided by the state to this particular agency, or should I say law enforcement in general. And I include here, when I say so, whether it be the fire service, whether it be the prison service, whether it be the army and so on, all of that. And yet still, this small group of very, what I consider to be patriotic citizens have been so successful. Imagine if they weren't around. It means therefore all those persons that they would have found would still be missing.
Well, Lennox, I must say this before I go. If the police service right now is only to give the average driving population ticket, would just move the entire police service from national security and put it under finance.
Well said, my friend.
I listening.
Yes, indeed. Well said, my friend, because I understood where you were going, where you were going, when, of course, all we are seeing is the utilization of the police service to, in a sense, collect revenue for the government. And the government using the parliament to enact legislation, laws to, of course, facilitate that development. And I was taken aback that you would, of course, associate the police service with the Ministry of Finance based on its revenue collecting agenda or portfolio or efforts at this point in time. I want to tell you that is extremely creative, and but for that alone, I'll tell you, go to the top of the class, because yes, and mind you, this is not pie in the sky, this is not old talk, this is not ad hominem talk, this is not because you feel to say so, but common sense will tell you that. And you have a minister who would have told us, I think, I don't want to hazard a guess at this point in time, the name has slipped me, but a PNM minister who would have been talking about when the seat belts were introduced under Manning, I believe it would have been, obviously. He was saying, yes, it would have been a he was saying that, listen, they expect revenue from that source to be X amount, demonstrating that it was not introduced, as far as the government is concerned, to curb delinquent behavior and to save lives. It was about, in the main, if it's that alone you can talk, maybe they might be of the view, or they might have been of the view that what is not said is obvious, meaning that to save lives, etc. But the fact that a minister could say that you expect X amount of dollars to come in as a result of delinquent persons, not, of course, wearing their seatbelt, I think it is inhumane, it is barbaric, it is heartless, it is brutal, and demonstrates an insensitivity and non-altruistic the non-altruistic nature of successive PNM, because that occurred under the Manning administration. And here it is, this government has introduced, of course, points deduction. They have introduced, of course, Tintin. They have a machine or a device that will say whether or not you infringe the law as far as tint permissibility is concerned. We also have, of course, the increased penalty with respect to children not being well buckled down in vehicles. We also have the situation of stoplights and, of course, utilizing camera technology in order to discover persons who may be infringing the road code or the laws of the country, demonstrating that plethora demonstrates that there is validity, that the intention is really to raise revenue as they increase, of course, the revenue. And I'll tell you something before after this caller. Pleasant good night to welcome.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night to
everybody on the live.
Yes, good night
Lennox,
to you.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Lennox, we not seeing you. You know, you come on live, and we want to see you. We want to see you looking.
All right, you're hearing me, but you're not seeing me.
Yeah, we hear
right,
you, but
okay,
we not
right,
seeing
right,
you, boy.
right. Well, that is deliberate. You see,
One more thing, Lennox.
Go ahead.
I love with one of the supporters on the live, Brian John. Brian John is Alice Gani. I love you, boy.
All right, okay. Well, you see, we're doing everything.
Okay,
We're doing everything on the ground report in spite of the on the corridor transformation, in spite of all of the challenges. So we even bringing lovers together and all. So yes. I wish you both all the best. All right. Okay then. Bye bye. Yes. Yes, indeed, people. Of course, we are doing anything here. This is about people. It is about not just enjoying yourselves, but it is about creating conditions for enjoyment. After all, life is supposed to be something that one should celebrate, one should feel good about, one should have good neighbors or good relations. Because let's face it, we have one life to live, one, and two, we are here for a limited period. So why not? Let's go back to the line again. And let's take this one. A pleasant good night to welcome to the corridor. I've already gone past 9 o'clock, but that is how it is when you're enjoying yourself. Go ahead. Well, yes, sir, I'm feeling fine and dandy. We're just doing the elimination process, so whilst I don't have a live video of myself on the system, the fact that it is working fine shows that we probably have found the problem, and we'll try to see if we can tweak it tonight.
Right, radio is good enough.
Repeat that. I didn't hear that one.
I say radio is good enough.
All right, okay, I hear you, my friend. Yeah, because I mean, people who use radio, they ain't seen anybody. I agree with you.
That's right. And you go report this morning, Lennox. That was a fantastic program this morning.
Yes, thank you very much for that. We have to up our game now that we have switched to the contemporary technology, and there are several other things you'll be hearing as we move inexorably on the social media platform.
And you know what, Lennox? Just what Mikey was saying is true. Imagine the opposition leader, the second highest person in the land.
Yeah.
Only take away security. And if people ain't getting up and saying nothing, how is that?
Yeah. And of course the argument goes even further to demonstrate how I would consider to be stupid, how myopic, how dunderheaded, because he would want a similar treatment, but he believes that the PNM, once it is in government, is some kind of totalitarian in the sense that they rule, and they rule for who they prefer, and rather than on fundamental principles of moral, ethical, and what is right and what is wrong. Because the argument is that Stuart Young has a whole contingent, and I'm sure if you would have heard Gary Griffith, certainly he was sounding frustrated that he had to give almost a whole battalion to Stuart Young, a person who is subjected to no threat, as opposed to some other ministers, and including, of course, the argument is including the opposition leader, who, of course, controls a major portion, or should I say influences a major portion of the population, but another portion is politically opposed to her, and you never could tell what could happen in those circumstances. So he gets the security as he wants, and he withdraws the security from the opposition leader. That is despicable, reprehensible, and wicked. But go ahead.
So where you going to take some of these people?
Mm-hmm.
The
Yes.
opposition leader without no security?
Just imagine that. And it was the opposition, when they were in office, that assigned that, and is now protocol for whosoever the opposition leader is, to get security simply because of what and who they represent. Yeah.
When Manning lose the election, Kamala gave him security for 2 years, you know.
Yes. And that became a staple after that. And that's how Rowley benefited from it. And now he has the audacity, because he believed that somehow he is a dictator, that Trinidad and Tobago belongs to them. And that Eric Williams nobody could tell me who gave Trinidad and Tobago to Eric Williams, but somehow Eric Williams bequeathed Trinidad and Tobago to them, and therefore they can act rambunctiously, recklessly, brutally, and of course in total oblivion as to their responsibility and role in the society.
They had no class. Kamala gave Manning security for 2 years.
Yes.
And you come now on the opposition leader. You see, people must know these things, you know? Right?
Yes.
Second most powerful person in this country. And they don't even show them on TV.
Yes. Let me just tell this caller, just hold on, Miss Venezuela or Arima. I have another person on the other line. But go ahead, Mr. Tagarigo.
I could imagine what they were going to do tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
And Ansel Roger is the man to wake up their people and start the march, you know. Remember, Roger and them don't have to apply to no police for a march, you know. They have automatic rights to a march. Like one of the agreements with unions.
Yes.
I think Ansel will have to move the people, and you can't want a better reason than for taking away the opposition leader security to march.
Yeah, that is inept. It is myopic. It is backward thinking and self-serving. The country is not yours. It's all of us own, and therefore you have to act appropriately. If you want to get respect, you must deliver respect.
That's all I could say.
Yes.
And we don't have to all dictators in the past.
That's right, exactly.
So they check and see.
Yes. All right, my friend. Yes, thank
going.
you very much for calling. Let's hope that things remain like this. Look as though I have to remain in the background for things to go smooth.
All right.
All right. Yes, Miss Arima. Go ahead and make your contribution.
Lennox.
Yes.
Lennox.
Yes.
I good with how you're not showing your face.
All right.
I know what your face look like. We don't want for that. We want everything to run smooth.
Beautiful. Yes.
Agree?
I agree. That is irrelevant. Yes, that is irrelevant.
Everybody know what Lennox look like.
Yes.
At least we hearing your voice nice and clear.
Great. That's important. And let it remain like that. Yes.
Yeah, I had to call back in concerning this security, the security that they take away from the opposition leader.
Yes.
She don't bang for that. That is a setup. You have to be smart. People must understand that is a setup. It had too much naive people in this place talking about, oh, Rowley take it away, and they want to talk about it, that he must put it back. Leave it so. We can't be dotish out here. She is to get her own private security. She would be plenty much safer. This mafia, this man in with this brotherhood we are here is a dangerous thing, you know. They just sit down and plan how to attack certain countries in the mafia. They're bleeding this country. You hear? They're bleeding. And we so foolish here that we don't want to research. For a matter of fact, I get to understand the other day when you're not on the radio. After listening to some of these elderly callers, I understand that they don't really know how to use a cell phone. Some of them have, some of them have. They can't use it as the children have to help them. So this is a dangerous position, and they are the ones who really follow up, right? People have to help them and tell them what to do. And some of them, they just can't learn because they don't have the patience. So when I talk in certain things, right, they don't really believe and know how to catch up on these things because they don't know how to use the devices who have, right? So when I come with certain information, they can't check it. They're waiting for the opposition leader and certain activists to come and say what they have to say, and then they would believe. You know, some of them, if you show them certain news things on mainstream media, they don't believe in that. They want to see it in the papers. They want to hear it on the 7 o'clock news. Or if they hear it on the ground report from people like you and Andy
and Mikey.
Yes, Andy and Mikey. This is a serious problem, right? They don't know exactly what's going on with that gangman friend Rowley have with Rick Rowley, right? I hear this man setting up people and they encouraging this Arima man, this Dr. Arima, right? He's setting all up and only talking about this America. America had to be involved because he had agreements with them, right, concerning the gas.
Of course.
In COVID time, they wanted Chevron to get some gas to help the situation in the country, right? Remember Chevron?
Yeah.
And he tell them no gas. And the PNM supporters saying that, you know, they have an agreement and how they talk and they get the gas, but they don't know on what condition he give them the gas. That man tell them in order to get that gas, all they have to release my wife's 2 nephews. They were jailed for trafficking drugs. They had a ton load of drugs in a private jet where they land in Haiti. And this is how they catch up with he and she, Celia Flores, his wife, with the narco trafficking because they're watching them whole time. Right?
Yes.
That was, I believe, in 2016. So this is how he end up in trouble with this narco thing. And when he say he want the 2 fellas out, they say, okay, we will give you these 2 fellas. He said, and not only that, you have to drop the sanctions on my wife. And they drop it, and they tell him you will have to have free and fair elections, and they make certain agreements.
Yes.
All in Barbados, and he never keep up with it. He will say one thing today, and tomorrow is our next story.
Sure, right.
We cannot trust this man. So this is why I have to keep talking to educate the people, right? Let them go and find out what's going on. We cannot trust him. It is dangerous. Yeah. Look at how we have to give them how much million US every year.
Yeah.
And they saying it's social work or for some social thing.
Yeah.
We have to be minding them. Nah, man.
That's the reality. That's the reality.
That's the reality. Well, I can't take it, Lennox.
No, well, I mean, you are talking the reality, you see, because some people have the ability to distinguish reality from fiction, one, and at the same time analyze the situation as to what ought to be as opposed to what is, and therefore come to an inescapable conclusion. So you, for example, clearly is making the argument that Maduro cannot be trusted, and you have pointed out all of the things that he ought to have done that he didn't do that justifies that argument, and that is how you analyze the things. And so, you know, one has to commend you for that kind of should I say, application of your brain matter to the situation, and of course packaging it in a way that those of us who may not be aware can now be aware, even though you may not be able to present, as we have been able to do on the ground report and on the corridor transformation, instantaneous backup proof. In fact, I had a joke last week on the ground report when we presented, of course, a video showing that the former governor of the central bank did not say that the country was running on fumes, and he was referring, of course, to the period by and large under the present administration, but in its first term between 2015 and 2020. But there was a caller for ostensibly a spokesperson on his own volition for the PNM, and we were able to refute it by Joala speaking in the same interview that he referred to. But guess what? Guess what? Yeah, but guess what? He then said that we doctored the tape. He tell me we doctored the tape. So there are people who face with the reality. The truth is a stubborn thing, is an embarrassing thing. So then, of course, they find all kind of what I consider to be not just awkward, but asinine excuses. So we understand. But the fact is, we are able to prove it, and their conscience must now be their guide when they go on sleep or in their private spaces.
All what I talking in the news, you know.
Yes.
Need to come
No. I have confirmed it. Every time you speak, I will go and do my own research, and all the time you have been on the button, and when it is, of course, in Spanish, I have a app that I use, even though it is not perfect. So I ain't getting the what I say, the comprehensive interpretation, but getting an idea as to what the issue is all about, even though it was written in Spanish or spoken in Spanish, but always comparing it with what you have said, and you have always been correct.
Right, Lennox. So we want the citizens of this country to stand up. Again, I'm calling on the citizens. We too have to stand up for our democracy.
Yes.
Because all independent institutions, right, that man dismantled them in his country over there, and Rowley doing the same here.
Yes.
We have to fight for our freedom as well.
Yes.
It's dangerous. Okay, Lennox.
Thank you very much. Of course, yes. Well, you will be more or less the last caller. Thank you very much, of course, because it's way past 9 o'clock. It's past 9:30, and I said 1 hour from 8 to 9. That has long passed. But of course, the only voice I didn't hear tonight is Miss Santa Cruz. Probably she has a lingering of the frustration that we would have experienced for the past 2 months or so. Yes, it's that long, but we are back on track. Of course, as I said, we will look at the whole question of how we can get the video aspect of it. That is my presence video-wise to complement the speaking or the audio. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Well, good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you.
Yes, Mr. Lennox, I just want to find out something.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this petrol train that the government want to sell, that we already want to sell, right?
Yes.
the government, the opposition can do like take them to court or anything like that to kind of like stop that sale or do something about it, ensure that petrol doesn't being sold to this another scam from India.
Well, nothing is impossible, and what you're saying is not impossible as well. The thing about it is that is whether or not you have the time and the effort, and the government, of course, will spend any kind of money, not theirs, to, of course, resist that. And, of course, one of the fundamental principles, as was the case with respect to the Revenue Authority recently in the courts, that gave the government the go-ahead to ask customs of officers and inland revenue of officers or officials or workers to make them consider whether they want to stay in the department, whether they want a transfer, or they opted out by way of a visa. And the court said that the executive has a responsibility to manage the country, and that is nestled in the principle of being elected. And that is why it is so important, and we have been emphasizing how important it is for people to have the right people in place, even though 20 million people could be wrong, as we have seen at times in certain circumstances. But in this particular case, it is clear that we have been wrong in putting Rowley there, and now we know that we are correct now in removing him and replacing him with Kamala, since when we compare what Kamala did between 2010 and 2015, then we know that we would have done an injustice to ourselves by putting Rowley there. So it's that principle, because a government coming into office, by and large, ought not to be fettered even by the courts, even though the courts are there to, of course, monitor and to make sure that they work within the context of the Constitution, the rule of law, and, of course, what Parliament prescribes, or what it intended in order to make the executive operate in a particular way. I trust that I have not been too lengthy or complex for the answer that you are looking at, or for.
But listen, one more thing, Mr. Lennox.
Go ahead.
I can't wait. I can't wait for the day to see Rowley and Stuart Young and Faris Harari and all these evil scams and this short one with the $3.4 billion we can't answer for. I can't wait for them for us to make a jail in this country, and a big fat one too.
I probably more anxious than you. That's it, how anxious I am, because if you anxious and I more anxious than you, and there are people who are more anxious than us, I can tell you it will be a joyous day to see these fellas in blue lights and silver bracelets heading to make their first day in jail. Yes.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, them are evil boy now. Mr. Lennox, good night. I go on.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. People, of course, we have come to the end of tonight's exercise. It was much better than many other nights, in spite of my non-presence video-wise. And I want to tell you, it has been a distinct pleasure. Yes, indeed. It has been a distinct pleasure, and we will be looking. Once I'm seeing that there's a problem, I am going to continue being behind the cameras. And it's clear that we know what the problem is, because we didn't get that on the ground report, because there would have been no pictures or no camera coverage. And we see that that has been successfully implemented tonight. And we will, of course, continue to treat with the solutions as we see it. Yes, indeed. And so, of course, once again, don't forget tomorrow morning, the ground report, we will be pursuing issues of an African nature, because of the celebration that is supposed to signify tomorrow. and at the same time making sure that it is delivered in such a way that one cannot forget it. It must be almost unforgettable. It must be inculcated in such a way. But have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. Until tomorrow morning on the Ground Report, and then tomorrow night on the Corridor Transformation, maybe in the same format as tonight. Just 1 hour as well. Yes, indeed.
Now foundation grassroots, you got to know the truth. Problem, you don't know where to go. Love culture, Anthony Selassie. Say so.
Long ago.
Long time ago.
Yes, long ago. Pirates had their fun in the burning sun. 16 men and a dead man's chest. Yo, yo, yo. And a bottle of rum.
Mama, she again. Is it a king? Is it a princess? So you see me generation travel through the stress.
16 men.
16 days.
And a dead man's chest. Yo, 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 yo.
Sounds kind of funny, but that's true.
Long ago. Yes, long ago. Pirates had their fun in the burning sun.
More than mystery. Over the years, them all a try to trick we. No one cares about the poor black picnic. Down in the bottom of the boat, them sick we. Over with a polypa with them whip we. Don't even mention the big boat kick we. That's why we know we have to get the victory. See them all a cut it on why got chip we. Oh, too slippery.
In the burning sun, 16 men and a dead man's chest. Yo, 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 yo.
Now if all you agree with me in this tune, I want all you to fill up the comments with flames and send this tune viral for me, please. I's a madman. So we vote and we vote and we vote and still back to square one. Look at people still suffering in Vietnam and John. We lose faith in the leader, and I'm not calling no names. We fed up of the lies and the dirty games. So it's right now, we have a vote, no confidence. Cause right now in the country they're doing real nonsense. Now the majority of youth decide to go and pick up guns like you're plain blind and you're deaf and dumb. Like you forget your people once you in power and you're moving evil, you had the whole place sour. And now that we discover is 2% that they offer. This is one little thing that I want all you to remember. We fed up all your lives. You could do much better. Food prices going up too high. We can buy rice or flour. All you load up the comments and flames. Don't the chicken gone up, beans gone up, sausage gone up.